Welcome back to Cougar Creations. I'm Maddox.
And I'm Josh. It's been a while since we've been here, Maddox.
It has. This episode, we're going to be saying farewell to our seniors, being me, Josh, and Carter.
We're also going to be talking with each other and our teachers about our time in radio TV.
But first, let's talk about my time here in radio and TV.
Hello everyone. Today I'm talking with Maddox to see his 4 years of experience in high school. First off, I'd like to ask, how were your 4 years of high school, or how would you describe them?
I know that at the beginning it was a little bit stressful just moving into Greenfield. I came from the country, and before that I came from downtown Indianapolis, and moving to like a smaller town was a lot different than where I've already been. And since I didn't really know anybody, I was like a little stressed out about making friends and just like knowing people.
Mm-hmm.
But by year 2, I'd already made a bunch of friends, and I really got comfortable here. So from year 2 on, I had a lot of fun, and it was a lot of good times, a lot of good years.
So the most difficult part about it was just being new to the school?
Yeah, just like getting an understanding of everything.
Mm-hmm. Second off, is there a subject that you loved from start to finish?
Radio TV.
Radio and TV.
Yep, because just whenever we first got here, because at first it was a little bit daunting just because like they had to be very serious to make sure that you stayed on track. So I was like, I don't know if I like this. Like, this seems like I got something a little too serious.
Mm-hmm.
But if you take it seriously, you can still have the fun, and that's what I really loved about it, even till now.
And is there a subject that you did not like from start to finish?
Algebra.
Algebra.
I don't think it helped that I went from Algebra 1 to Geometry 1, back to Algebra 2, and then back to Geometry 2, so I switched back and forth. It got me very confused. But people were like, oh, Algebra is like easy compared to Geometry, and then no, they're wrong. They're both super hard. And so I had an expectation that it'd be easier, and it was definitely not.
And is there anything that you wish you'd done differently that you knew now?
Anything I wish I would have done differently? Maybe because I only took one art class, and I didn't really like it. And so I didn't ever like go into like any further art classes. I feel like I should have done that, since after that class, like a year afterwards, I got really into art, and I feel like it would have helped if I took some classes. I would have enjoyed them more.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like maybe switching out some of my other classes that I wasn't really interested in for one of those.
And then for your 4 years of being here, do you have a favorite year?
Favorite year? I'd probably say senior year. Just because like a lot of like the weight's been lifted off my shoulders. I already got a lot of my like credits that I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like I just got to take classes that I like, do half days, go home early. And so it's nice. I can really just focus on like building those friendships and like making sure that I still can hang out with these people outside of school. And so it's a lot more fun this year.
And do you have any favorite aspects of radio and TV?
Favorite aspects? Like I said, probably just the creativity that you can have in it. Just being able to like then give me a project, and then me be able to like build it from there into like an idea,
Mm-hmm.
and then being able to make that idea like an actual thing and seeing it comes out. I think it's probably my favorite part.
And speaking of those projects, do you have a favorite one that you worked on?
Probably either the 30-minute show or like the 30-minute shows we did in Cougar Creations, just because it was like a big open book that you could just like blank slate, do whatever you wanted with it. It definitely had, like you had to do something specifically, but other than that, you could base the show around whatever your group came up with. And it opened up like a lot of creativity for me there, and so I was able to build up my group and make a lot of good shows. So I enjoyed that a lot.
And do you have a favorite project from any class that you remember?
Probably in English class whenever we did our movie trailer, just because I was able to like take my group into the radio TV room and like film there, and they were all very surprised at like what, because they didn't even know that this room was anything like,
Mm-hmm.
because it's kind of like in the middle, so it doesn't like really like stand out.
Yeah.
So just like being able to show them all this cool stuff we have access to, and like making that cool trailer compared to everybody else's that were kind of good, but ours was really good. It was really fun to like show them that and like overshow everybody else.
And would you say senioritis is an effect for you, or do you still not mind coming to school?
Oh no, absolutely. I don't mind coming to school, but mainly because I know that when I like walking, and so walking to school is kind of easy. But like if anything takes more than like 20 or 30 minutes, like if it's more than 10 questions, I don't want to do it. I'll be so honest. I don't want to do it. I might not do it. Like I know up like next period I got a 20 question like pretest. I'm not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it's very much an effect.
If you're passing, you don't need to worry about it.
Exactly.
And then do you have any future plans after high school at all?
My plans after high school for now are to find, I don't know exactly which college, but I want to go to a college for 2 years and get an associate's degree in some kind of veterinary thing so I can get an animal job, which I don't know exactly what animal job I want just because I don't want to lock one in and then be disappointed when I don't get it. And so I just want to go for like broad studies, animals, and just hopefully I can get a really good animal job that I like. And so that's my plan.
And then for my last question, do you have a favorite high school memory at all? Does it have to be during high school? It can just be your time, like for your 4 years, like outside of high school as well.
Probably one of my favorite memories would have been in Cougar Creations, like the first show when we went out to film. It was me and my group, and we were like, hey, let's go do this. And then I think it was Holtz Club. It was just like, all right, go. We were like, oh, we can just leave. And so I think we went down to Riley Park or something. It was like super fun just being able to like leave the school completely. And like they had trust in us, and it was really fun just to like be able to like kind of goof around, but also we got what we needed done.
Just to do whatever.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, that's all the time we have. Thank you, Maddox. And then thank you for being here for 4 years, and good luck outside of high school.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Today I'm talking with Holtzclaw about Maddox and his 4 years of high school. First off, I'd like to ask, if you could describe Maddox in one word, what would it be and why?
In one word?
Yeah.
I would say like hardworking is probably a good one. Maddox is always willing to put in the extra effort. He's always willing to do whatever's needed, no matter what. He was always doing extra things, and he always did the task that we kind of asked. So Maddox is always hardworking, and he's always willing to do that kind of work, whatever we kind of asked around the classroom, anything else like that. I mean, obviously this year you guys took that kind of extra teaching role, a little bit of that aspect, and he jumped right into it. He was great with that. So.
And I know that this kind of goes off to my next question, but is there anything that Maddox does that makes him stand out? You said he was hardworking, but is there anything else that he does?
I mean, I'd definitely say that he is willing to work with others, which is always great, because no matter who it was, whether it was a sophomore year when I first met him, well, in class, whatever else, when I first met Maddox there, he was willing to work with a lot of different people that maybe wasn't always getting along with the best, but he always did the work and was willing to put forth the effort in order to get the best result in the end. He had some great projects along the way. He had some great work in like our crew creation stuff last year. And then this year he's working with like the underclassmen. Some of the times that I'm just able to leave the room or whatever else, and they can just go straight to Maddox or straight to you guys and then get extra work that way.
And this kind of, you were talking about projects with the Maddox. Is there any project that you remember working with him on or helping him that really stood out?
Working with him definitely was just crew creation. So like specifically, you guys remember going to like downtown Greenfield and doing things for the parks department. So like that was a fun one where you guys got to do the whole wearing the hard hat, things like that. And we got to do the fun interview outside of the shelter house or when they were rebuilding it. So that was fun to kind of work with him on that. I remember not necessarily working with him, but seeing the final project of his, I believe, 25-shot narrative where he had the box on his head and he was running into everything. Yeah. So that was a fun one to see in the end as well. But yeah.
Is there any skills or attributes that you've seen Maddox obtain from this class at all?
Sure. I mean, definitely become more outgoing, more social a person. I mean, we talk about the reason why we're doing this style of interview is because this guy just wants to go around and do man on the street stuff. Every single class, every single career creation show, he'd come in and we just talk about the episode and he goes, great. So when can I do man on the street? We're going to do man on the street at this point so I can talk to people about this. Sometimes it wasn't necessary. And then I could see Maddox kind of get deflated because he's just, that's the one thing I want to do. But like, no, I mean, just seeing this kind of stuff, just talking and being able to communicate with people and then do this kind of work has definitely, I think, improved him in a social atmosphere.
And were there any skills that you've seen Maddox already have whenever he first came, or whenever you first worked with him as a sophomore during his projects? Did you see anything that really stood out?
Again, probably just along the hardworking aspect. So he's willing to work with others, kind of compassionate with that. So no matter who it was working with, no matter what the job was, he listened to other people. He took their advice. He listened to what they had to say, and in order to create the best product that way. And he was always willing to adjust and make it the best possible thing for whatever, if it was a project, career creations, things like that along the way.
And would you say Maddox has shown what it takes to be a true radio and TV student?
Yeah, absolutely. He definitely takes that initiative. I mean, like I said, going around the streets, he always wanted to talk with anyone and everyone. I would hear all the time about how he's chasing people down, how they're, going to the bathroom passes, things like that. As soon as they're done or on their way, I just hear the stories about how Maddox chased someone going, hey, you, come here, come talk with me, things like that. So that's stuff you got to have. You got to have that initiative. You got to have that go-getting attitude when it comes to this kind of work.
And then for my last question, is there any world advice that you'd like to give Maddox to carry on to?
World advice. I'd say don't lose that compassion. Continue working hard, continue being able to work with others, because that kind of stuff is what helps you become that better person throughout life, helps you in any job aspect. I mean, we heard he wants to do stuff with animals and along the veterinarian kind of things. Definitely don't lose that kind of compassion, the hardworking attitude, and the ability to work with others no matter what the situation presents.
Well, all right. I think that's all the time we have. So I appreciate Old Club for coming on and talking about Maddox. And then
Of course.
Have a great one.
And now let's hear about my time in radio TV.
Hi there, I'm with Josh, going to reminisce with him about his 4 years of radio TV. So Josh, which year of radio TV did you like the most?
Definitely my junior year. I feel like my junior year was where I saw the most improvement from myself. I mean, of course, I had a lot of friends that year in this class, and it was just a really fun year. We went out, did a lot of stuff, had a lot of fun, made a lot of memories and everything, but just my skills in this class, I also feel like had a huge increase compared to my freshman and sophomore years. So just everything I did, all the projects I worked on, plus just my improvement, I think that made it my best year by far.
And then what made you want to join the class in the first place?
Part of it was my mom. My mom knew about the class, and so she really wanted me to get into it. So I decided that I would just give it a try, see what I liked, or see if I liked it. And then at first I wasn't sure how to feel about it, but then I thought, well, I'm just going to stick with it and take another year of it and see what I think. And then here I am now, still in this class, and it's probably my favorite class that I've taken through high school.
Like, what's different about this class compared to like other classes that you take?
Definitely just like the variety of things we do in here. It's not just your basic sit at a desk, do some papers, do some tests, and then go to your next class. Like it's different, it's unique. We go out and we go off campus and do projects. We work on stuff like we work on the documentaries and things like that. And now we're cadetting and we're helping out the newer kids and everything. So it's just that variety and uniqueness of just kind of having that freedom to do what you want and be able to be creative and use your own mind rather than just the basic, like I said, like just doing paperwork every single time for an hour and a half and then going to another class. So that difference in variety and freedom makes this class way different than a lot of others.
And then, like you mentioned, it was very different. What's one of like the favorite projects that you've had in this class?
Probably the documentary. I feel like it's the most creative, where you can really use your freedom and because you can choose whatever you want. It's not like you have to make a documentary about a certain topic. Like you can just pick who you want, whether you want it to be like a movie or a certain person or like sports or something like that. Just I like having that variety, and then you get through the editing process and everything, and then you get to watch back and watch that finished product of what you just created, and it just kind of makes you feel nice and feel proud of yourself, saying, hey, I just made this project and it's really good. And so I like just having that creativeness and that to be able to make a project like that's a bigger project, and being able to say like, hey, I made that and it was really good.
You mentioned creativeness. Is there any hobbies like outside of school that like you also use to like express your creativeness?
Not really any outside of school. I mean, of course, I did the thing with 9-Star recording games with Holtzclaw a lot, and that was fun, and just being able to do that. And of course, I've looked into a lot of media things at home and everything, but I wouldn't say there's really any hobbies necessarily outside of just working for 9-Star, but that was a huge experience just in like the filming side.
And then what do you plan to do after high school? What are you going to do for like the next upcoming 10 years?
I'm hopefully going to get into Ball State. I applied, and they're wanting to see a little more academic improvement, but I'm just really focusing on keeping my grades as high as possible and hopefully getting in there. I just signed up for the National Guard. They're going to put me through college, and then I just finished up all my paperwork, and I'm medically qualified, and I'll be shipping out on October 1st. I'll be going to South Carolina for a couple days, and then they'll ship me out to Oklahoma, where I'll do 10 weeks of basic training, and then I'll be going into artillery school for 12 weeks after that.
And then my final question is, what is your final thoughts on radio TV?
My final thoughts on radio TV is this is a great class, and if there were any kids coming into high school that wasn't sure what classes to take, that I would definitely recommend this one to them, and I'd tell them, just stick with it. Like, even if at first you aren't sure how you feel about it, like I was in that same position. I wasn't sure how I felt about this class, but just stick with it. Do it for a little bit, and you'll find that it's a lot better than you might think at first. But this is definitely my favorite class and probably the best class I've ever taken. If I had a chance to do it all over again, I wouldn't change anything.
Well, thank you, Josh. I wish you luck.
Thank you, Maddox.
Hi there. I'm here with Mr. Holtzclaw. We're going to talk about Josh's years here at Radio TV. So, Mr. Holtzclaw, what was your first impression of Josh?
My first impression, so I came in, and it would have been Josh's sophomore year. He was just a quiet guy. Like, he was just kind of chilling in the corner or whatever else. He didn't really talk a whole lot. I remember I had like Wesley and kind of helped me out with some of the crew stuff with 9-Star, Wesley and Ava. And there was one day where Josh wanted to join the crew. And so in order for him to join, it was Wesley came up with Josh, and Josh was kind of hovering behind him just to ask to join the crew. So first impression was Josh was obviously a little bit quieter, a little bit shyer, but I've seen him, especially like this year, really come out of his shell a lot more, be a lot more open-minded and being able to talk a lot more and a lot freer. So it's been good to see like that entire growth from sophomore year that I saw him to the senior year that he is now.
And then, like, throughout the years, how would you describe his work ethic?
Josh does what you ask him to do. He always tries his best to get that work done. I mean, obviously, seeing him on the 9-Star crew, I tell him to get certain things done. And I think he doesn't want to disappoint you ever. So sometimes I don't think Josh will take those risks that I think you can have in this class just because he doesn't want to disappoint. But I mean, he always gets the job done. He just wants to go out there and do what's asked of him and get everything across the way it is. So he's always willing to do what you say and get everything across that way. So, I mean, his work ethic was excellent throughout his entire time that I've known him.
And then specifically like this year when we had like more time to just like be around each other, how would you describe his personality?
He's opened up a lot more, I would say. Like I said, he started off a little bit quieter. Josh is still not the most talkative, you know that. He's not the most talkative person in the world, but he's definitely talked a lot more. He's gotten a lot more outgoing this year. In the right environment, Josh will go on for days talking. I've heard him like when he was hanging out with Wesley all the time, when Wesley was here, and then with you in class, you two will just be talking a lot, and it's good to see that kind of outgoing nature. Like I said, it's just been good to see him really get out of his shell a lot more this year compared to where he was earlier on and just trying to find his way. So I think Josh has really found his way a lot more as he's gotten older in junior, senior year to now you've heard him going into military and things like that. So it's going to be good for him to take those next steps in life from there.
And then, like, throughout the years, there might have been, like, some things you had, like, some trouble with. Have you seen, like, big improvements in, like, the things he might not have been, like, very skilled at the beginning?
Yeah. So early on, like I said, it was just some hesitancy early on. So just a little bit cautious of how to approach things. As he got more comfortable with certain things, especially with 9-star, he just would go out there, do what was needed to do, and just get things set up, tear things down the way it needed to be, and then just ready to roll from there. With work in class, same kind of process. It was just at first, Josh would take like a backseat role and just kind of go with the flow, and now he's taking more of a step forward, taking a leadership role, obviously helping the younger class with different things that he's able to see himself. So just seeing him go from being more hesitant to taking a front seat role and really trying to step forward as a leader in this class and things like that.
And then is there, like, any specific part he excels at in this class?
I would say alongside like just getting the task done, same kind of process as we mentioned before, where he listens, he understands what you're trying to ask, and he's just going to put forth his best effort no matter what. Now, if Josh has a question, he's always willing to ask. He's always willing to take another second look at it or whatever else, but he just always puts his best foot forward, and that's all I can ask of anyone. So I really appreciate all that Josh did when he always was giving his best effort and trying his best with anything and everything in this class.
And, like, what are, like, your favorite parts of working with Josh with those times you've worked with him?
It's funny to see Josh's personality really come out because he has a lot of sarcasm, which I enjoy some good sarcasm.
Yeah.
So hearing him go from, again, the quiet, shy sophomore into this year where I say something with some sarcasm and he gives it right back, the first time I heard it, I was a little bit taken back. I was like, oh, Josh, what is this? I haven't seen this in 3 years. So it was just good to see that whole nature kind of come through, seeing the back and forth with that. So I think that's been really fun to see him come out of his shell with that. But in terms of like the work itself, I mean, it's just in terms of like setting up and tearing down, especially, I think Josh has excelled at like getting going on that kind of stuff, knowing how to kind of clean things out and make sure they're going that way. And then just being in the program for these 3 years, he understands the ins and outs of our classwork and helping out with these underclassmen, knowing that if they have stuff to do, he can just kind of step in, fill the void, and be that secondary instructor when needed.
And is there any, like, specific memories you have that was, like, really fun with Josh?
I mean, we had like a long day, obviously, doing 9-star stuff. So I think it probably goes back to doing like our Horseshoe Classic over in Pendleton, where we were working. It was, like a 9-10 hour day, something like that. And just having him there when he was a little bit quieter, it was just funny to see the ins and outs that he had. Because I believe it was him, Ava, Wesley, and then Brady were all there with us. And so I just remember vividly kind of walking into the booth upstairs where they had like the food, things like that. And they like let our student crew kind of hang out because it was colder that day. I see him, Ava, and Wesley like on the couch, and they're all three about to pass out because it was such a long day and we were there early. So they're all three like eyes half open, half shut, kind of just chilling on the couch, just trying to relax. So I think that's one of the more vivid memories, that it's just funny to see that kind of stuff, just seeing the ins and outs from there. But I mean, anytime that Josh has done 9-star stuff, it's always been a good time and a good work that he's always done.
Well, thank you, Mr. Holtzclaw.
Yeah, thanks, Maddox.
Now here is my time from radio and TV.
Hello, everybody. I'm Josh, and today I'm going to be sitting down with Carter and talking to him about his time in radio TV. So starting off, what were your first thoughts of radio TV when you started?
At first, I wasn't too sure what it was going to be like, because back whenever you're in 8th grade going into freshman, you're thinking about YouTuber, like, being a YouTube and stuff like that. So it's like, oh, this might be a chance to, take that persuasiveness and put it into something and like actually have a chance to make videos and stuff like that. But at first, it's more of your own, it's more of a small creative process. You get your idea, you get your project, and you take your free will with it and you make it your own. So at first I was a little shook because it was the About Me project was the first one. And it's like, okay, so this is how it's going to be. It's going to, you're going to have your set of projects and then you're going to list them out and do it that way. So at first it was a little off, but then I got the hang of it and realized that, you do need a plan structure to, make stuff. It can't just come off the top of your head and have random stuff. So at first it was weird, but I did enjoy the layout factor and having everything planned and whatnot.
All right. And what are some of your favorite projects that you've worked on over radio TV?
So some that I remember most, like the very first one that comes to my mind is like the music videos, because that is one of, I was talking about, you have your full creativeness to it, but it's just giving you the project. It's anywhere between like a minute 30 to 3 minutes. You just do whatever you want, any song, have your own story behind it. Just make sure it's not copying that music video. So I thought it was a great creative process, just making your own story out of the lyrics from that song and having free will with that, because you could film outside of class too. Like what I did was I went to, I think it was either Walgreens, and went and filmed in there and stuff. So it's like you can just film anywhere. But another project that I liked was the documentary, because that, like, again, that's more of a free will kind of thing. So it's just you make anything that you want. It can be an artist, genre of film, school, like literally anything. So that's what was great about the documentary. So I really like those projects where it's more of your own free will.
All right. And what's something you wish you could have had a chance to do or maybe done more in radio TV?
What I wish I could have done more was probably maybe more documentary kind of styles where it's just your own filming. Because I think it was like near the sophomore, we did a lot of, at the end of sophomore year, we kind of did a lot of more group projects. And then with junior, we were doing Cougar creation. So that was all a group thing. So I wish I could have done more solo projects and more editing. Because other than that, I think we did a lot of our projects that, that was fun, and I didn't really see any other ones that we missed or anything, so.
All right, and how have Mr. Hudson and Mr. Holtzclaw helped you to improve, whether it's personal skills or skills in this class?
What I'd say is, whenever coming in as a freshman, seeing Hudson, he has these expectations. He's very straightforward with you. He knows exactly what he wants, and if you don't bring your part to the table, then he'll let you know. So what I liked about Hudson was he was very straightforward. He got you, like, okay, I know this is first year, but we're gonna treat it like it's, you've been here before. So that's what I really liked. And then Holtzclaw, he joined us sophomore year, and he came in with a bright attitude and helped everybody, and he's really shown me like what it is to be in the radio and TV class, because he was in here before, so he's known all the experience, and he's very fun to do projects with, go and talk about anything with. So but I think they both helped me with like social skills, talking, making good conversations, and just you can talk to your teachers. So it's like that's also what it opened up. That's what I really liked about them, and they're always there for you when you need them. So they just helped a lot during the 4 years.
Okay, and how have other students helped you to improve, whether it's just regular classmates or maybe the younger kids this year?
Yeah, so with some students, classmates, they've having to deal with them for 4 years and whatnot helped you gain, like I was talking about, social skills as well. Having to deal with randoms in real life, because sometimes some people aren't the brightest, and having conversation with them is a little off. But it's high school. People are just in here to get through it. So with the peers, they didn't really help too much, but they did allow me to see other people's lives and like what's actually going on, but with them and whatnot. So it's like not everybody has the same thing. But with this year, helping the underclassmen, it's shown that I was in their position once. I was always like not afraid to come up and ask like the most basic thing, but it's shown that just being open is a lot more what you need to do with people in school. With the sophomores and stuff, they were like at the beginning they were asking them quite a bit of questions, coming up and asking the most basic stuff. But now it seems like they've got the hang of everything and whatnot. So, they've shown that improving is great.
All right, and what advice would you give to any students that are going to be taking this class for the very first time next year?
What I'd say is hold on to it. Take your time, because like I said, whenever you first come in, they're gonna treat you like you've been in there before, so you don't want to take it personal. You just need to listen, follow instructions. That's all you really can do with them for your first year. Then after that, like sophomore year, you get your creative. Even in freshman year, you still have your creativeness in there, and they'll allow you to do what you want. But with sophomore year, they trust you. They know what you're capable of. They know your abilities. So it's like you will be doing more stuff that you want to do, and it's really good that there's a class like that, and you're not just sitting there doing one project, or you're just not sitting there writing the whole time. No teachers like over your shoulder the whole time. It's really just you, and then your group as well. So it's just hold on to it. It's your class. You do what you want with it.
All right, and if there's anything that you could have done differently, if you could go back and do anything differently in this class, what would you change and why?
If I could change anything in this class, it would maybe have more I don't know. I think it really captured what you needed in the 3 years. Maybe more of like I know this is kind of silly, but like a self-filming portion, like not vlogging, but like just recording by yourself and talking to the camera, so you can build confidence and more of a thought process. Because talking to a camera is like completely different than talking to someone else, because that's just you. You have to find what you need to come up with. You need to have your own ideas, have something you're gonna carry that video on completely. So I think it's more of a, really pushing yourself to have an idea. So I think that's what I would change. But other than that, like, I think it was great for what it was. It started you off with iMovie, then you went to Final Cut. So it's like, you start with the basics, then you go up. There's nothing out of proportion.
All right, and are there any final thoughts that you would like to share as we wrap up our time in radio TV?
Time flies. It's already been 4 years, so that's unfortunate. It was fun being in here, making projects, hanging out with people, and then as a senior, you kind of were just laying back and then helping the other kids, and so that was nice to see for a final year. But it's gonna be unfortunate going away and not coming back to the class to make stuff anymore. So. Yeah, I guess that just leaving, that's unfortunate. After 4 years, you're obviously thinking about it throughout your high school, but then you don't think about it till you're about to leave. But yeah, that's my final thoughts.
All right, well, that's all I have. Thank you, Carter.
Yep, thank you, Josh.
Hello, everybody. I'm Josh, and today I'm going to be talking to Mr. Holtzclaw about his experience with Carter in radio TV. So starting off, what was your first impression of Carter?
My first impression of Carter, so it was his sophomore year. He just seemed like, just a cool guy. He was very energetic, and I always connected with people who liked sports especially. So I remember Carter was one who talked to me a little bit about sports, as well as Aiden, if you remember Aiden as well. So they were two of the ones that were kind of a little bit more outspoken their sophomore year, so that first AVP class for you guys. And then kind of talking to them and being able to connect right away. So that was always good. I always enjoy being able to talk with people who are outgoing, because that kind of matches with my personality right away. And then obviously I asked Carter to kind of help out with 9-star stuff, and he did like once or twice, and that was really cool to see his work ethic out there, things like that. So now Carter was, from this jump, had a great work ethic, and obviously was a very outgoing personality. So that was good to see early on, especially from my first year here at Greenfield-Central.
Okay, and in what ways have you seen Carter improve and develop over his years in radio TV?
So definitely socially, and even more on a work ethic grind. So obviously I said he was outgoing personality. But he started connecting with a lot more people as he kind of continued on, things like that, and he was able to develop more relationships that way. But also work ethic wise, I remember last year for Cougar Creations, there was one day where it was after a bad show, and Carter was just not in the mood after some things had kind of gone wrong or whatever else. He just goes, guys, we need to get our stuff together. We need to get going on this. I'm tired of having some bad shows. And so it was just like work ethic kind of came through, and I was like, oh, okay. I didn't have to say anything about that. So that was one moment that kind of really stood out. It was just funny to see that, and it was good to see that kind of grind come through for Carter in the end.
All right, and in what areas do you think Carter could have improved in?
I mean, I think I've seen it throughout the years with just his improvements kind of going on, whether that was editing, whether that was on-camera personality, things like that. So I think anything that he had struggled in earlier on, he was able to find his way along the way. I think editing-wise, he took at times a back seat, but he also jumped headfirst into that, like the Cougar Creations years, things like that. So I think he was able to see that kind of work go in that way. And then obviously talking on camera, things like that, everyone tends to kind of freeze up a little bit when they see the cameras, around us or the bright lights around us. But I think Carter was able to find his way along the way when it came to interviews, whether that was the first couple times he might have been a little stuttered or wasn't quite sure, but I mean, by now he's, senior, 4 years in the program, knows his way around the cameras, knows his ways around doing these interviews.
All right, and I know you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but in what other ways have you seen Carter really show out his role as a leader in radio TV?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously we talked about he just took some initiative when he came to Cougar Creations. Being a good example for like these younger kids too. Carter obviously had one incident his junior year where it stands out, where it just something happened and then we kind of came down on him a little bit harder. And I hate to say it, but it was a good thing to see it because it helps set a precedent for all these other kids coming up through the ranks. And he can attest to it for any other student who asks along the way of just like, yeah, make sure you guys go along with things. Make sure you guys are doing the job that you need to do. Otherwise, you can have something that happened to me and have it back to you that way. So he has been from there on, especially just really taking strides forward to become a stronger person, especially in the classes, and be someone that the younger kids can look up to.
All right, and are there any final thoughts you would like to share about Carter as he wraps up his time in radio TV?
I mean, with any of you guys, I just hope you come around a little bit more, be able to come by and see us. But with Carter, I hope he continues on with this kind of stuff. I think he's got some good potential to do this kind of work. I know a lot of you guys aren't necessarily going to post high school with radio and TV stuff, and that's okay. But I hope you were able to take these skills that you've learned with connecting with people, talking, being able to work in group environments, because that happens throughout your entire life, no matter what you do. I hope you're able to continue using that heading forward and just continue being a good person that helped make you guys so great here in the radio and TV program.
All right, well, that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Holtzclaw.
Thanks, Josh.
Welcome back, everybody. That was all of our time in radio TV. Maddox, how was your 4 years in radio TV?
It was very fun. Definitely glad I picked up this class freshman year. Gotta be my favorite class. I've had so many fun, good memories in here, and I feel like my school years would not have been as fun without it. How about you, Josh?
Yeah, same here. I definitely enjoyed this class. I have a lot of memories that I made here, and I'm definitely going to miss it once I'm gone. But I'm glad I took it. I'm glad that even though there was a point in time where I wasn't sure how I felt about this class, I am glad that I decided to stick with it and just keep going, because it turned out really fun, and I really liked this class.
All right. Well, thank you for watching, and have a Cougar-tastic day.
Want to learn more? Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and make sure to subscribe and smash that like button on YouTube for future videos.